What up, guys? It's a new podcast. It's the Going Gould pod. It's the Goulden Hour. And we got some Goulden rules of law to go over and talk about the wild card games. One of them was exciting, the other one not so much. Then we'll talk about tonight's matchups between the Cardinals and Braves and the Nationals and Dodgers. And we'll go over tomorrow's matchups as well. And I'll make a little bit of a prediction pool for you in case you want to do some betting. But first, we'll talk about what a one-game wild card means to the game of baseball. I talked about it on the first podcast. Guys, it's pretty simple. One-game wild card dominates a best set of three. For one simple fact, it builds the drama. You see a guy like Steven Strasburg come in and throw 3 dominant innings out of the bullpen. You see a guy like Josh Hader coming in the 8th instead of the 9th because it's a winner-take-all. That is exciting. That is exactly what baseball needs to be successful. A one-game wild card is as good as it gets in sports. Sometimes I believe the reason why the NFL dominates in terms of postseason success is those games are winner-take-all games. There is no tomorrow. A lot of the times the stats go out the window for those one-game playoffs. A guy like Andrew Stevenson makes the roster in a wild card game, but doesn't in the division series because he's used for that one specific moment to pinch run late in the game. It's exciting. It's exactly what baseball needs. One game wild card, the way to go. Speaking of the wild cards, we'll talk about how exciting that Brewers-Nationals game was on Tuesday night. Max Scherzer comes out of the gate, struggles. I talked about it last podcast, but his walks are about almost 4 per 9 in the playoffs. He starts it out with a walk of Trent Grisham, then Yasmani Grandal takes him deep. Quickly 2-0 Crew, before a lot of people at Nationals Park can settle into their seats. Then Eric Thames goes yard a couple innings later. Brandon Woodruff, by the way, I talked about it. Not a lot of people know his name. You better know his name after Tuesday night's start. Guy was throwing 100 miles an hour. Some question whether he should have gone deeper into the game, which would have allowed the bullpen to throw a little bit less innings to only use Hader in the 9th. And I agree. I think Brandon Woodruff has to come out for that 5th inning. But he didn't. But it wound up being problematic. Because then you use Suter, who's been terrific since coming off the IL, in the 5th inning. When if you can extend Brandon Woodruff into that 5th, he's pitched very well. 4 innings, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, a run. He let up that bomb to Turner, but no walks. I mean, the whip at a .5 through 4 innings was remarkable. I understand that Craig Counsell sees the success of Suter and Pomeranz, but why not utilize them an inning later? That way Hader doesn't have to come in for the 8th inning. I understand Hader's used to pitching multiple innings. I do get that. And I understand he didn't blow one save all year, up 2 runs or more. Not one save all year. But that's why we talk about these wild card games. That's why you throw a lot of the statistics out the window. Anything can happen. So Woodruff only goes 4. Suter throws a shutout 5th. Pomeranz throws a dominant 2 innings in the 6th and 7th. But then they go to Hader in the 8th. Max Scherzer settled in for the Nationals. Wound up throwing 5, letting up 3. Steven Strasburg kept the Nats in the fight. A couple of signs floating around during the game. You could say stay in the fight was their motto for this game. And they did. Scherzer wasn't great, but he kept them in the game. Got the ball to Strasburg, who was dominant for 3 innings. And it all sets up for the Magic in the bottom of the 8th. I mean, the Nationals were lifeless. There was no life in that stadium. Then all of a sudden, Hader comes in. And a miraculous 8th inning comeback ensues. Go over that 8th inning real quick. But it starts out with Victor Robles striking out. But you could even see in that at bat that Hader was struggling a little bit. You could see the command was a little bit off. Winds up getting Robles anyway. Then Michael A. Taylor comes up. There was that questionable hit by pitch. Did it hit his hand first? Did it hit the knob of the bat first? I think it was a good call. It's tough to tell. I think it got him in the hand. But another instance that you could see Hader's command was off. Nonetheless, comes back to strike out Trey Turner the next at bat. You think, oh, well, he's going to get out of this 8th inning unscathed. He's already thrown a decent amount of pitches, though. Then Ryan Zimmerman, the longest tenured National in its history, comes up to pinch hit. Gets the job done. He hits the ball 226 feet, dunks it out into center field, breaks his bat, but gets the job done. Taylor goes to third, first, and third. That's where you see Andrew Stevenson, even though, well, it did come into play. Then Anthony Rendon, just a terrific at bat, works a six-pitch walk. Bases are juiced. Here comes Juan Soto. Juan Soto, folks, he's 20 years old. He just turned 20 this season. He was 0 for 3 with 3 punch-outs on the day. He looked awful, going against one of the best left-handed relievers in baseball. This is why the one-game wild card is so fascinating. And Juan Soto gets the job done. Works the count to 2-1, rips a single into right field. 2 runs were scoring no matter what. Andrew Stevenson came in to pinch run. That's why that pinch running matters. Ryan Zimmerman, maybe there's a play at the plate. Andrew Stevenson comes on to pinch run. He scores easily. They showed the replay. But then the error in right field. That's tough. That error was tough to watch as a fan. As a fan of the game, it's tough to watch Trent Grisham make that error in right. That allowed the 3rd run to score. That allowed Rendon to come around. Soto then gets thrown out of the bases, which could have been dramatic, by the way. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that. It wound up working out, but Soto should not have gotten thrown out in between 2nd and 3rd. But that error was costly. Never know what could have happened, but it ensured that the Nationals take a 4-3 lead. Daniel Hudson comes in, shuts the door. They got him from the Blue Jays at the trade deadline. Davey Martinez played all of his cards right. And this game is not on Craig Counsell by any means. Yes, hindsight 2020, I think a lot of people, I know Brandon Woodruff just came off the IL, but a lot of people would have liked to have seen him gone an inning deeper into that game. So that way Hader doesn't have to pitch till the 9th. But the Nationals celebrate. They win their first winner-take-all game in its history since 1981 when they were the Expos. And now they get to face the Dodgers. Big win for Davey Martinez and company. Wednesday night, last night, A's-Rays. Battle of the low budgets. We all thought it was going to be an exciting game. And it was exciting in the sense that it had its moments, it had its homers, it had a little bit of drama early on in the game when the A's loaded the bases, but this was the Charlie Morton show. This was absolutely the Charlie Morton show. And what's crazy is he didn't look that great early on, but found a way. Found a way to get it done. Morton went 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 3 walks. but one run, and that one run was unearned. Charlie Morton, folks, is 35 years old. He's going to turn 36 in November. This guy seemed to be potentially out of baseball till he found it on the Pirates. Strength in his arm. He's throwing 98, 99 in a winner-take-all game. Andy Diaz, of course, starts the game with a homer. That game started with a bang. Andy Diaz came off the IL on Sunday. He hadn't played in over 2 months. He missed 79 games. Manaea, who had been terrific, he also came off the IL in the early September. So a lot of people questioned whether they should have thrown Mike Fiers or not, whether Manaea's arm would be ready for this situation. Bob Melvin went with Manaea. Didn't work out. He struggled mightily. Only lasted 2 innings, allowed 4 hits, allowed both bombs to Diaz, allowed a bomb to center to Avisail Garcia. And that was all the Rays needed. Diego Castillo looked great in the bullpen. 2 shutout innings, striking out 3. Nick Anderson looked... this pickup for the Rays is critical. Nick Anderson, inning in a third, 4 punch-outs, struck out all 4 outs he got. This guy's had a 2-to-1 strikeout rate in terms of innings. He's striking out 2 per inning. He's been phenomenal. Emilio Pagan shut the door down, as he's done most of the season. And the Rays move on to play the Astros. So now we'll preview tonight's matchups. Braves and Cardinals. First pitch coming up here in about 30, 40 minutes or so. This series, I think to a lot of people, is going to seem like maybe the most boring of the playoff series. But I think it has some intrigue. This series is going to have a lot of players that I don't think are quite on the map in a lot of ways, or weren't on the map before this season started for a lot of people. I'm still wondering if Freddie Freeman is on the map anywhere besides Atlanta, Georgia. What more does Freddie Freeman need to do to prove himself? Does he have to go win a ring? Does he have to come through in the clutch in the postseason? This guy has been phenomenal year in and year out. I don't think a lot of people know about Mike Soroka. And that one's a little more understandable. He was a rookie this season, but he got overshadowed by Pete Alonso. And I don't question Brian Snitker a whole lot. He's a pretty darn good manager. Reason he's there and I'm not. But why is Mike Soroka starting Game 3? Michael Foltynewicz, who's been terrible, starts Game 2 for the Braves. Which is very odd to me because that means Soroka's pretty much done after Game 3. For the Cardinals, they have Miles Michaelis going tonight. I think a guy that also a lot of people don't know about on the Cardinals is utility man Tommy Edman. Since his call-up, he's been fantastic. A catalyst at the top of the order for Mike Shilton and company. He's a player to watch in this series. I don't think it's Paul Goldschmidt or Marcell Ozuna. Certainly not Dexter Fowler, who I think a lot of Cardinals fans don't even think should start in the outfield, let alone lead off. I think Tommy Edman is one of the guys to watch. So Miles Mikolas goes tonight. Dallas Keuchel, who the Braves signed in June, who was okay. He was very inconsistent. He had some starts where he was pretty dominant. Looked like the old Dallas Keuchel, the Cy Young winner. He had some starts that weren't so great. But this series is going to be interesting. Cardinals are back in the postseason. They have all the magic in the world. The Braves have really struggled as of late in the postseason. Of course, they ran into the Dodgers last year. They ran into the Dodgers actually a couple times within the last 8 to 10 years. But Keuchel tonight versus Mikolas. A lot of top right-handed hitters for the Cardinals. Of course, Edman who switches. Fowler who switches. Marcell Ozuna had a much better year this year than last year. Paul Goldschmidt, Yadier Molina. This is a good matchup for the Cardinals. Miles Mikolas is very consistent. He's the type of guy, he's going to go about 5 innings, maybe 6. He'll let up 3 runs or so, but that gets the job done in the postseason. The Braves must win tonight. This is a must-win game for the Braves. Must win. You got Jack Flaherty going tomorrow for the Cardinals, who's been untouchable. This is a must-win game for Atlanta. Have to win this game. At home, make a statement. Miles Mikolas, very beatable. Dallas Keuchel has to show up. He has to show his veteran presence on the bump. He's got to get the job done. Lineup has to go to work against Mikolas. Must-win game. You do not want to face Jack Flaherty down 1-0, especially with Fultonevich on the mound, who's just been so brutal since coming back from the IL. Should be a fun series. Tonight's series, wild card winners, Nationals versus the Dodgers. This is pay-per-view. This is must-watch TV. I think this will be the best series out of the 4. You got Patrick Corbin versus Walker Buehler. Let me say that again. Patrick Corbin versus Walker Buehler. It's a new era in Los Angeles. For the first time that anyone can remember, Clayton Kershaw does not get the ball in Game 1. Some are questioning, Dave Roberts has not announced whether he even gets the ball in Game 2. This is a changing of the guard, folks. This is the future on display. The hard-throwing Vanderbilt product gets the ball in Game 1. And I think it's the right call. And I think it takes some pressure off of Clayton Kershaw. In the regular season, there is no pressure with Clayton Kershaw. He's the best to ever do it. To ever do it in the regular season. He's the best pitcher ever. I don't even think a lot of people would debate you. But he hasn't been in the playoffs. And I still argue in favor of Clayton Kershaw in a lot of ways. The guy has been brutal in about 5 starts or so. 6 starts maybe. But every other start's been pretty darn good. The problem is there hasn't been that in-between. There hasn't been that start where you go, all right, he wasn't great today, but he got the job done. That's what's kind of missing with Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs. Patrick Corbin, the pickup in the offseason, had a plethora of suitors, decided to go with the Nats, gets the ball in Game 1. Familiar face to the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers faced him the last 4 years when he was in Arizona, consistently. The Dodgers will go right-handed platoon, more than likely, for the most part. But this is a good matchup for Corbin. He's got Bellinger. He's got Seager. He's got Muncy. Those three lefties, Dodgers' best hitters, could be a good matchup for Corbin. But this series will be great. Pitching staffs, again, we don't know who's going to go to Game 2 for the Nationals. They burnt Strasburg for 3. Of course, Scherzer for 5. Scherzer, of course, not going until Game 3. We don't think Strasburg will pitch Game 2, but he may. If not, the name will be Anibal Sanchez. Dodgers haven't named their next two starters. We know it's Ryu or Kershaw. We just don't know which order. But it will be a great series. And it's must-watch TV. Take a look at tomorrow's games. Of course, I already mentioned Flaherty versus Foltynewicz. The first game of the day, though, is Astros-Rays. I think this will be the second best series of the four. Astros are the favorites to win the World Series. They won it back in 2017, so do they need another World Series championship? No, needs a strong word. But are they the favorites? 100%. Deservedly so. Already had a two-headed monster in Verlander and Cole. Went and got a three-headed monster in Greinke at the deadline. The Astros are the team to beat. They're the ones with the targets on their back. Red Sox didn't make the playoffs, so the target automatically, I think, reverts to the team that won it in 2017 and the odds-on favor. Tomorrow's game has a lot of intrigue. Also, I mean, every game is must-watch TV. Do I have to repeat it? It's the playoffs. But tomorrow's Justin Verlander versus Tyler Glasnow. You all know about JV. Do we need to talk about how excellent this guy has been in his career? Tyler Glasnow, though, came off the IL in September. Had a remarkable start to the season before getting injured. ERA's in the ones. Another guy that's going to be put on the map. Him and Austin Meadows were acquired in that Chris Archer deal. This is a guy who throws about 100, 101. And the Rays showcase they have some power. They can beat a good pitcher. I know Sean Manaea is not Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, or Zach Greinke by any means. But a lot of people, I think, questioned the Rays' lineup a little bit coming into this playoffs. They proved that they can hit the long ball and that they can manufacture runs. The Rays were 4-3 against the Astros in the regular season. This is a key note, 4-3. This is a team, and I'm going to say maybe the best team to give the Astros a run. They match up with them so well. I know everyone's already looking ahead to Astros-Yankees. But don't count out the Rays in this series by any means. So Glasnow versus Verlander tomorrow. Then on Saturday, it's Cole versus Blake Snell. Blake Snell, of course, injured. These are all the questions. How long can Glasnow go? I know Kevin Cash is going to use the opener strategy at some point in this series. Is it going to be Glasnow? Is it going to be Snell, the reigning Cy Young Award winner? But how healthy are these guys? Are they good to go? They're good to go. Again, the Rays can give the Astros a run. Of course, Nick Anderson's going to be used at will in this series. So will Castillo and Drake. Of course, Pagan at the end of the bullpen. So if Kevin Cash does want to go opener, I'm cool with that. If he wants to go Glasnow for 2 to 3, this isn't a Brandon Woodruff scenario where the Brewers' bullpen wasn't great this year. This is a good bullpen. But can they shut down the Astros lineup? That's going to be the question. That Astros lineup is just ridiculous. Going to have the Rookie of the Year and Alvarez this year. course, with Altuve and Springer and Correa and Bregman, who may win the MVP. Of all those names I just mentioned, Alex Bregman was their MVP this season. Stayed consistent, stayed healthy. He's the guy now. Although Yordan Alvarez might have won the MVP if he was up the whole year. Ridiculous what that guy's done. But again, a series with a lot of intrigue. Can the Rays break the backs and the hearts of the Astros in the first round? Them and the Nationals both have the most likelihood to make that big upset, I think, of the Dodgers and the Astros. Then, of course, you got Morton versus Greinke in Game 3. Perfect pitching matchup. Take a look at the Twins and Yankees series. Two teams hit the most home runs in all of baseball this year, shattered home run records. You're going to get home runs like crazy. I will make one bold prediction, though, for this series. The bold prediction is that in at least one game, maybe I'll say only one game, in one game in this series, there will be no home runs hit. Maybe it's silly, maybe it's stupid, but again, this is the playoffs. Anything can happen. Why not a homerless game in this series? But that kicks off tomorrow at 7:07 Eastern, 4:07 Pacific. James Paxton, Jose Barrios. A lot of questions concerning Paxton. Is he fully healthy? He's dealing with a quad injury. But he's good to go, says Aaron Boone. Tanaka goes Game 2. Twins have not announced a starter yet. And then on Monday, Luis Severino gets the ball in Game 3. Twins have also, again, not announced a starter. How healthy is Severino? Is he good to go? He looked terrific coming back in September. But this series has the makings of just a slugfest type series. And again, so many people are going to be focused on the mighty Yankees. And Judge, and Glaber, and Sanchez, and Didi, and all these guys on the Yanks. Stanton's coming back. He's healthy now. But there's some names on the Twins that I don't think a lot of people know. Max Kepler, 30-plus bombs. Bets leadoff for Rocco Baldelli. Mitch Garver, got to be the least talked about player this season. Has to be. Should win the Silver Slugger, no question, at the catcher spot. This guy had fewer than 400 at-bats. He hit 30 homers. Mitch Garver also leads off for Baldelli. And I think a lot of Twins fans would argue that Rocco needs to start Garver every game. They've been platooning where Castro's a lot of the times has started against righties and Garver started against lefties. Towards the end of the year, I think you saw that flip a little where it was Garver starting about 5 days a week. He has to start in every single game this series. No doubt he's starting Game 1 against James Paxton. But even the righties in Tanaka and Severino, Mitch Garver has to be in the lineup. Has to be. He is the key in this series in that order for the Twins. Remember the name, Mitch Garver. He will make a difference in this series. Nelson Cruz, of course, DHing. This guy just doesn't age when it comes to hitting. Fielding is done. You can throw that out the window, but he's the right-handed version of David Ortiz. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal year in and year out. And you're licking your lips if you're a Twins fan with that matchup against Paxton in Game 1. Are the Yankees fully healthy? Aaron Boone says so. Says they're ready to go. but this has the makings of a power-filled slugfest to no end. So now that we've previewed some of these matchups, let's make some quick predictions and enjoy what is the NLDS today, ALDS tomorrow. For the Braves Cardinals, I think the Braves win. But the Braves are not going to beat Jack Flaherty. It's not happening. Jack Flaherty will win tomorrow. I think a lot of the series pretty much rides in Game 1. Keuchel's got to show up. Braves have to get it done. If they win Game 1, they win the series. That's how critical this first game is. But I think Braves win in 4. The reason I say 4, because if this series goes 5 games, Jack Flaherty goes Game 5, he wins. Braves have to win in 4. But I think they get the job done. I think they advance to the NLCS. Dodgers Nationals, this is tough. This is a tough series for the Dodgers. They got a tough matchup. I know the Brewers were strong to end the year, but they would have rather played Milwaukee. I think the Dodgers win this series, but I think the Dodgers win this series in 5. I think the Dodgers lineup is a little bit better. I don't know if the rotation is much better. Buehler, Ryu, and Kershaw, and you may rather have Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. And Rich Hill's already been announced as the Game 4 starter. He's going to go about 3-4 innings, said Dave Roberts. Is he fully healthy? It's a big game for the Nationals to pick up something if it goes to 4 in the nation's capital. But I think the Dodgers win this series in 5. They advance to play the Braves. Rays Astros. I love the Rays in this series. I do. I really do. I think it's going to be so much fun. But do I have the balls to pick against the favorites in the first round in the ALDS? The answer is no. No, I can't do it. I'm a coward. I am a coward. I'm a coward. But I still think the Astros' depth is too much. You're going to see their lineup on full display. You're going to see these starters on full display. And the Rays just don't quite have the lineup. They have the rotation. They have the bullpen pieces. They don't quite have the lineup. They don't. I think the Astros get it done. I think they win in 4. Last but not least, Twins-Yankees. Told you, a lot of homers. I think the Yankees win in 4. I don't think there's going to be one sweep. If there's any series that has the makings of a sweep, I think it's this one. I think it's in favor of the Yankees. I know Twins fans, I understand. But why not us this year? And the answer is because you don't have the rotation depth. You're rolling out Jose Barrios, who's good in Game 1. He's good. He's solid. He's a solid young flamethrower. But you don't have the rotation depth. You don't have the bullpen to win this series. The Yankees have the bullpen. Not to say that the Yankees even have that great of a rotation, but they got Severino back. Tanaka's been good in postseason games. James Paxton's been great down the stretch. And then with that lineup that the Yankees have, it's just too much. Yankees win in 4. So that sets up Dodgers-Braves, Yankees-Astros, in the CSs in the championship series. It's going to be a fun ride. We already saw a great couple of wildcard games, especially on Tuesday night, and that NL wildcard game. This is going to be fun. I'll leave you with a couple of statistics to end this podcast. Cool, fun, quirky stats, but Juan Soto is the youngest player to get a go-ahead hit in a winner-take-all game in the 8th inning or later. So we're getting a lot of things out there on this statistic. But that's the youngest player, second youngest player, to get a go-ahead hit in a winner-take-all game in the 8th inning or later since Miguel Cabrera in 2003. Miguel Cabrera will be a Hall of Famer. What will Juan Soto be? We don't know. But he sure has the makings of a fun superstar. Then Charlie Morton. He's the first pitcher to win 3 different winner-take-all games in different series. So he won that wild card game. He won a winner-take-all game in the World Series. He was the winning pitcher. Then he won a winner-take-all game in the ALCS as well. Charlie Morton's 35 years old, going on 36. Can he beat his former club? Who knows? But last but not least, the Moneyball era, it's been tough for Billy Beane. It's been tough. They set a major league record for something that you just don't ever want to see your name next to. But that was their 9th straight loss in winner-take-all games. 9th straight in winner-take-all games. MLB record, not fun for Billy Beane, not fun for Bob Melvin, not fun for the A's. Still a terrific season. Again, still beat all odds to get to the postseason, but that's tough. That's tough to see, especially at home in front of 50+ thousand. So that's the pod. This has been the Going Gould show. It's been the Goulden Hour. Let's enjoy some postseason baseball, huh? I'm fired up. I know everyone else is. It's October, baby. This is the best month of the year. Christmas come early, Hanukkah come early, Kwanzaa come early. It's the greatest month of the baseball season. Enjoy it. Thanks for listening, folks.